The entire airport arrival hall went silent. Not because of a celebrity, not because of a security alert, but because of one woman standing still, watching the man she built walk through the arrival gate holding another woman's hand and smiling like she didn't exist. Adobe Wonye did not shout. She did not cry. She simply watched. The woman beside him wore a designer dress that probably cost more than Adobe's first year's salary 10 years ago. And the ring on his finger, it was new, big, obvious. The man walking towards her was Chinedu Okafor. The boy she had sacrificed everything for. The boy she had sent abroad. The boy who had promised her, when I come back, we will start our life. Except now, he had come back married, and the entire hall was about to witness something no one expected. 7 years earlier, Lagos, before the airports, before the betrayal, before the upgrade, Adobe and Chinedu were two broke graduates trying to survive Nigeria's unforgiving economy. They met at a crowded internet cafe in Yaba. Adobe was applying for jobs. Chinedu was applying for graduate scholarships abroad. The generator outside was roaring. Heat filled the small room and everyone was sweating. Chinedu kept refreshing his email. Nothing, he sighed. I beg this country tire me, he muttered. Adobe laughed softly from the next computer. You think Canada will solve all your problems? He turned. You don't believe in living. I believe in building, she replied. He looked at her carefully. You're different. And somehow that conversation turned into friendship. Friendship turned into late-night phone calls. Phone calls turned into love. Real love, the kind that survives poverty, the kind that survives embarrassment, the kind that makes you share one plate of rice without shame. But love alone does not pay international tuition. 6 months later, Chinedu got the email that changed everything. He got admission to a master's program in business analytics in London, but there was a problem. Scholarship partial, meaning tuition gap, visa funds, accommodation deposits, altogether almost £22,000. For a boy whose father was a retired teacher in Enugu, it might as well have been £2 million. Chinedu was devastated. This is the opportunity of my life, he said, staring at the laptop screen. Adobe sat quietly. Then she asked the question that changed both their lives. How much exactly do you need? He laughed bitterly. You can't help me with this one, no. But Adobe did something dangerous that night. She started calculating her savings, her cooperative contributions, her jewelries, the land her father left her in Anambra. She did the maths, and then she made a decision most people would call foolish. She sold the land. She sold everything. When she handed Chinedu the bank transfer receipt weeks later, he stared at her like it was fake. You sold your land? Adobe shrugged. It was just sitting there. Just sitting there, he repeated. The land is worth millions. She smiled. Your future is worth more. Chinedu's eyes filled with tears. Ada, I would never forget this. He held her hands tightly. When I make it, everything I have will be yours. She believed him, because at the time, Chinedu still believed it too. The airport goodbye was emotional. Chinedu hugged her for a long time. I'll call you every day. I know. We'll marry when I return. I know. You're my wife already. Adobe smiled through tears. I know. And for the first year abroad, everything was perfect. Video calls every night, photos of snow, complaints about British food, assignment stress, dreams about the future. Chinedu always ended his calls in the same way. You saved my life. But success changes people slowly, and distance helps it happen quietly. By the second year, calls became less frequent. Chinedu was busy. Networking events, internships, conferences, group projects. Adobe understood. She worked 2 jobs now to support him when necessary. Day job, a logistics company. Night job, freelance bookkeeping. Sleep became optional. but she never complained because every sacrifice felt like planting seeds. Seeds for the life they were going to build together. Then came the internship. Chinedu landed a role at a prestigious consulting firm in London. That's where he met Amara Bello, the daughter of a billionaire oil magnate. British educated, designer clothes, luxury lifestyle, the kind of woman who has never had to check her bank balance before ordering food. At first, Chinedu saw her as just another colleague, but wealth has a way of changing how people see you. Amara liked ambitious men, and Chinedu was ambitious. She began inviting him to events, corporate dinners, gallery openings, exclusive parties. At first, he declined, but then he started saying yes, because being around wealth changes your appetite, and slowly, Chinedu stopped telling Adobe everything, not out of cruelty, but out of convenience. Adobe would not understand this world, the yachts, the champagne, the connections, the life he now believed he deserved. By year 3, the calls became weekly. By year 4, monthly. Adobe tried not to panic. Life is just busy, she told herself, but deep down inside, she knew something was wrong. Then came the message that broke her heart. Babe, I think we need space. The long distance is affecting me mentally. Adobe read the message over and over again. She called him immediately. He didn't speak. She called again and again. Finally, he answered. Chinedu, what does this mean? I just need time to focus on my career. What about us? Silence. Then he said something that cut deep. You'll always be important to me. That sentence, that useless sentence. Adobe cried all night, but she didn't fight. Because love cannot be forced, she simply said one thing. I hope you remember who stood by you when you had nothing. Chinedu didn't respond. 3 years passed. Adobe rebuilt her life. She focused on business. She started a logistic consulting firm using her experience. She worked like someone who had nothing left to lose. And slowly, success came. New contracts, new clients, new partnerships. By year 7, Adobe Woye was a respected businesswoman in Lagos. But she never heard from Chinedu again. Until one morning, her phone buzzed. A mutual friend sent a message. Chinedu is coming back to Nigeria today with his wife. Adobe stared at the screen. His wife? Attached was a photo. Chinedu, standing beside Amara Bello. Wedding rings visible. Luxury ceremony. British society wedding. Adobe felt something strange. Not pain, not anger, just clarity. Then she smiled and picked up her car keys. Which brings us back to the airport. Arrival hall. Crowds cheering returning passengers. Chinedu walked through the gate proudly beside Amara. He looked different now. Expensive watch, tailored suit, confidence, success. He spotted Adobe immediately. His smile froze. For a moment, he looked like someone who had seen a ghost. Amara followed his gaze. Who is that? Chinedu swallowed. Just someone I used to know. But Adobe was already walking towards them. Calm, elegant, unbothered. She wore a simple navy dress. No drama, no anger, just quiet power. Welcome back, she said. Chinedu shifted awkwardly. Ada, I didn't expect to see you here. I know. Amara extended a polite hand. Hi, I'm Amara. Adobe shook it. I know who you are. Amara smiled politely. And you are? Then answered softly. Someone who invested in your husband. Chinedu's heart dropped. Ada, please. But she wasn't finished. You see, Amara, Adobe continued calmly. 7 years ago, your husband couldn't afford to leave Nigeria. Amara frowned slightly. Chinedu whispered urgently. Let's talk about this privately. But Adobe shook her head. No, let's talk here. Passengers nearby began paying attention. Phones slowly came out because Nigerians love airport drama. You married a man whose education abroad was funded by me, Adobe said. Amara turned to Chinedu slowly. Is this true? Chinedu stuttered. I was going to explain. Adobe smiled gently, but that's not the interesting part. She reached into her handbag and pulled out a document, a legal document. She handed it to Amara. What is this? Amara asked. A contract your husband signed before he traveled. Chinedu's face went pale because he remembered. At the time, it felt like a simple formality, a way to reassure Adobe's family that their daughter's money wouldn't disappear. He never thought it would matter. Amara opened the document. Her eyes scanned the page, then widened. What is this? Adobe spoke calmly. It's an investment agreement. She turned to the growing crowd. 7 years ago, I funded Chinedu Okafor's international education as a private investment. Gasp spread. Chinedu's voice cracked. Ada, please don't do this. But she continued. In exchange, he agreed to repay the investment with 30% equity in any company he established using that education. Amara looked at her husband. Is this real? Chinedu said nothing, because silence was the answer. Adobe smiled kindly, and since Chinedu is now the co-founder of a London consulting firm valued at approximately £8 million, she paused. My share is worth about £2.4 million. The arrival hall erupted. Phones were recording everything now. Amara looked like she might faint. You never told me this. Chinedu tried to grab the document, but Adobe pulled it away. Oh, and one more thing, she added. The contract is registered with both Nigerian and UK legal authorities. She leaned slightly closer. So legally speaking, she smiled. I didn't lose anything when he left. She looked at Amara kindly. You didn't marry an upgraded man, she paused. You married my investment. The silence that followed was explosive. Chinedu looked completely destroyed. Amara turned to him slowly. You used another woman's money to build the life you promised me? He tried to explain. I was going to sort it out. When? She snapped. When she died? Adobe sighed softly. Don't worry, I'm not here to fight. She placed the document back in her bag. My lawyers will contact you next week. Then she looked directly at Chinedu for repayment. She turned and began walking away. But before leaving, she said one final thing. Next time you upgrade your life. She glanced back calmly. Remember who installed the software. And just like that, Adobe walked out of the airport. Calm, victorious, unbothered, leaving behind a man who had just realized something too late. He didn't upgrade. He simply changed owners.